今やゴジラの通過した後は炎の海と化し、見渡せば一座終わり。
Bam! What's doing, guys? Back with another fresh vinyl video today. So while I'm waiting on new figures to come, we're gonna do a little topic discussion here on my page, my channel page. What the hell am I talking about? Because the next figure review, as I stated in the video that I did prior to this yesterday, at the time of this recording, next figure review will be the 30 centimeter favorite sculptors line Magra. Boom. Okay. So what are we talking about? Okay, check out the table over here. Boom. You see it? I got some 62s, 64s. Not a gigantic, but what do we got? We got a 30 centimeter 62, a 30 centimeter favorite sculptors line 62, a 25 centimeter 62, a Defo Real 64, a X Plus Museum or whatever the hell they were calling it 64. So we got, oh, and up there I got the gigantics. I did it too big to put on this table, so we're not going to have them on the table, but they're there. You know this. Yes. Okay. So why am I pointing them out? We need to talk about all the crazy lines that X Plus has been dishing out over the past like five years or so. Because when I started collecting X Plus, there were only two lines, which were the 25 centimeter line and the 30 centimeter line. There was also the next line after that, or after those two basic vinyl versions, was the Real Master Collection, which was basically 30 centimeter reissues of these figures, but made out of resin. Okay. And obviously resin, if you're a kit builder, those figures are much heavier, much crisper in detail. It's like a stone, etc., whatever. So we got a lot of scales and a lot of sublines here with an X Plus in the past 5 years. Oh crap! I don't even have a Yuji Sakai figure up here. Unbelievable, Rich. But there's one probably behind me, right here. Here's a Yuji Sakai figure. Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines here. Seriously, 7. Am I missing anything? 7, 8 with the Real Master Collection line. Wow. Okay. And I feel like I'm still missing something. It's ridiculous. Yeah, when I first started collecting X Plus, it was easy if you wanted to keep up with both scales, just a 25 centimeter and the 30 centimeter, because it wasn't like we were getting. Actually, back in the day, sometimes we were getting like 2 or 3, Godzilla figures coming out a month. It was nuts. Now it's maybe one Godzilla related figure and Ultraman figures and some other stuff mixed in within all these lines and sublines or scales, whatever we're calling it. Okay, because now there's like 4 different 30 centimeter lines. You got the regular 30 centimeter line. You got the favorite sculptors 30 centimeter line. You got the Yuji Sakai, which is a 30 centimeter line, more like 27, 28 centimeter line, unless you don't take out the 95 here, which is really in the 30 centimeter scale because it's much bigger than all the other Yuji Sakai figures. Huh. And then there's the Real Master Collection line, which is also 30 centimeter. Ugh, my head's starting to hurt, and actually is. There is a lot of scales out there to choose where you want to go with your collecting. And it's become ridiculous, if you ask me. It's just my opinion. I mean, it's great. I think it's ridiculous in the aspect is, it makes it hard to choose what you want to get. Okay. But it's great in the aspect there's so much variety out there for collectors. If you don't want to spend the big bucks on the larger 30 centimeter gigantic series, then you go for the Defo Reals. They are anywhere between 60. I think when they first started coming out, they're like $55. Now they're kind of like jumping up in price a little bit, but I think on retail they should still be around $55, $65. That's for the standard, not including the Ricks. The Ricks are kind of jumping up there like around the $80 range, and all before shipping. But the Defo Reals are great for they're not that expensive really at all, and they don't take up much space at all, which is fabulous. The museum line here, which I have a little 64, and I got the Mothra over here. Beautiful figure, honestly. You know, those were cool, but those two figures together were like $100 when they first came out. Kind of just overkill. But that line scale pretty much fizzled out. There was supposed to be, or there is the 54 in the Godzilla 2004, and I thought there was going to be another, I think a Gigan 2004. I don't remember. But that scale and line kind of fizzled out on its own. 25 centimeter line is still, you know, we're still getting figures in that scale. The most recent one that I could think of was the 64B that came out. But we're seeing more 30 centimeter releases, specifically from the either Favorite Sculptors line or the Yuji Sakai line. And then just the basic standard vinyl, you know, 30 centimeter scale sprinkled in between here and there. And people, this is just the Godzilla stuff. This is not including the Gamera figures or the Ultra Kaiju, which range from like every freaking Ultraman show to your mother's ass. Okay, there's just so much out there with the Ultra Kaiju. That's why I only stuck to, you know, the original Ultraman show as far as you know, what figures I was gonna get out of that line. But it's just, there's just so much. We're talking about like serious, you know, oversaturation with the market. I also think this is the reason why Diamond, you know, is no longer doing figures. Just X Plus is kind of taking their baby home per Toho. But then again, I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I have no idea. You know, people that were dealing with Diamond, you know, selling those figures will probably have a better idea. So don't quote me on anything. I'm not saying that's fact. It's just a theory. You know, why we don't see any more Diamond figures coming out. You know, X Plus has been focusing on their stuff. It could probably have something to do with the rights, probably something to do with Legendary, on who has distribution rights, and blah, 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 blah. Bandai Premium's got rights, you know, to do figures. That's why we've seen sometimes on the X Plus Rick site, you know, certain, like, where is it? One of the Shin Godzillas I have somewhere around here was like a Bandai Premium release, which was found odd. I mean, it's an X Plus figure, but it was being sold exclusively or distributed through Bandai Premium's website. I don't know. It's just all over the place, you know, because Godzilla is a big hot ticket item again, as we know. But the scales, you know, all these scales and lines is partially the reason, and a big part of it, why I have personally scaled back on my collecting. It's just there's too much out there to keep up with. And then not necessarily that I was trying to keep up with everything. Yeah, I mean, if we were just sticking to Gigantics, 30s, and 25s, spread out across the year, yeah, I could keep up with that stuff. But I don't want all the Defo reels. I don't want all the Favorite Sculptors line figures. You know, I've skipped a bunch of Defos. I skipped a bunch of Favorite Sculptors lines. You know, I'm skipping the Gigantic. You know, the Gigantic 2019. Yeah, the figure looks big and impressive, but it really just doesn't wow me. Like, I enjoyed the fuck out of the film, you know, the movie, but the figure just doesn't wow me. Honestly, the price is really a turnoff. It was like $600 something. I think if I was gonna get it, I would go Rick because of the blue dorsal plates. It does help accent and, you know, differentiate that figure design from pretty much everything else, you know. And the standard, it is kind of just bland looking, if you ask me. I know, like, I've seen pictures, you know, it's got some nice dry brushing, but it's just like a flat. To me, again, don't kill me, people, but it just looks bland to me. Okay, I'm gonna have an opportunity to do a review on one in not the too distant future, and then I will shut up for now and reserve the rest of my comments from when I actually see the figure in person. Okay, and I'm not trying to rag on it, you know, but that's the point where I'm at. I'm starting to be choosy on what I get and what I pass on, because the days of just going after it all, it's become impossible because X Plus has just put so much product out there. Again, it's great, but, you know, it's forcing collectors to choose what they want. You know, so maybe this is a good thing, you know, for X Plus, because regardless, they got a market across, you know, they got a wide market of collectors. It's not just restricted to 25s and 30s and Gigantics. They got something for everybody now. And that doesn't include the other brands that are doing, like, Underworld figures, Harry Potter figures, and, you know, now they're even doing, like, horror-related characters in the Defo Real line, which is dope. Is it not Michael Myers. Jason Voorhees, Pennywise, which I think looks cool. The Nun, that looks dope. You know, but if, like, what? Now I'm going to start getting into those. I mean, now I'm going to start a horror collection. I really would like to start a horror collection, especially in the 1/6 scale Hot Toys line, but that could get out of hand. And I can, but I don't want to. It's just ridiculous. I got 2 details behind me, stuff with Sofubi, and some Star Wars Hot Toys, which I should do a video on all that shit at some point another time. Anyway, so, you know, with all these scales and all these lines, it's part of the reason why I've definitely slowed down on my collecting, and I've started selling stuff. It's just like I realized I don't need all this stuff, nor do I want all this stuff. Last year, when the favorite sculptors line Varan came out, the crawler, I already got a crawling Varan up there. I don't think you can see it in the frame right now, but I have one. It's a 25 centimeter version. So I passed on that. No, there's no favorite sculptors line Baragon yet. That'll probably happen at some point, but I passed on that. I wanted the new 30 centimeter Magra, which I've stated, but I sold my 25 centimeter. I don't need two. So I think with so much figures coming out, it's making it very hard for us X Plus collectors to choose what we want. And I mean, we've seen it all up and down the X Plus group. Oh man, that'd be great, but I don't need it. Or that's great, but I already have this one or that one. Blah 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 blah. And to the collectors that are picking up those pieces, great. It's awesome. I'm now, like, in some aspects, like the figures that I've passed on, I get to enjoy them through your pictures. And that's the truth. Or somebody else that's doing a review on a figure that I don't have. So, everything balances out in some form of fashion. And as I said in my last video, we have to, at some point, mature as a collector and really focus our collection in. And as I stated, I've been selling stuff for like the last 5 years. It's nothing new. Stuff comes and goes. And I still have a ridiculous collection. I'm going to be honest. Like, I have no problem sharing this. Before I started selling any X Plus or Bandai figures in the past year, I did a little calculation on probably how much I had worth, and it was stupid. It was a stupid amount of money that I realized that I had spent here, let alone just on X Plus since 2013. It's ridiculous. You start thinking about, man, what I could have done with that money. I could have bought like 3 motorcycles. I could have bought a new car. I could have whatever, went on a vacation, went on 3 vacations, so we got to prioritize really what we're doing here. We're just putting on, I love collecting. Don't get me wrong. I've been a Godzilla fan, as we know, since I was 5 years old. This is a passion to me. I love it, but at some point when it starts wearing you down in the aspect of like there'd be times like I'd walk in here, I had boxes and shit all over the place. I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to bother with it, So selling for me has become therapeutical because now I'm keeping the stuff that I really, really enjoy. At least I'm getting down to the stuff that I really enjoy. And there's really not much else more that I probably would want to sell. At least I say that now. But with all the lines that we have, I wish I had the Gigantic 62, the Defo Real 62, and the other favorite Sculptors line 62 just lined up so we could just see like how like crazy it's been, with the releases. And this guy, he's already been bought technically, so he's going bye-bye. But and then even when this one came out, I was like, do I need another 62? I'm like, I really like that figure, though. I had seen it in person at David's collection when he had the kit. So, and I love this one. This is still one of my favorite 62 figures. I think this might be my favorite of them all. It's such a great looking figure. It's sculpted beautifully. It was very, very popular back in the day before it was even reissued by Diamond. And this is actually the first reissue of this figure because it's the light up with the dorsal plates. But you get to a point where, like, when is enough? And that's the point where I'm at with collecting. I'm not blaming, any manufacturer. I mean, like I said, I've sold Bandai's, I've sold SJ Monstars, blah, 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 blah. You just get to a point where, you just got to dwindle it down and keep what you have, or enjoy what you have. And if you can let go of the stuff that's non-essential, like to me, the stuff I sold is non-essential. I'm at that point. But there's just so many lines. I'm all over the place now. All over the place. But he's going to go, and everything on this table's staying. And as I'm looking at them, I really dig these figures. I love this one, like I said, and that one's pretty dope. But it's saturation. Let's talk about the Gigantic series line. There's the Mechagodzilla that's coming out. There's the proposed Gigan that we have not seen yet. I'm passing on both of those. The Mechagodzilla has been teased, so that's the 74. From what I remember, the pose kind of looks boring, if you ask me. I think his arms were just straight down. Static pose. I mean, I'm sure it's going to look badass once it's all painted up and metallic looking and all that stuff. But I can't. I'm not going to start diving into other kaiju in the Gigantic series. It's just ridiculous. So the next Gigantic series release that's a Godzilla, if it doesn't wow the fuck out of me, I'm not getting it. Like, it's got to wow me. And that's the, again, like, it's probably going to be another gigantic Godzilla of a version that I already have in some form or fashion with an X Plus. So wake up. That's what I'm telling myself. Everybody can collect how they collect, but at what point is too much to the point where you don't enjoy it anymore, I guess. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. I'm going to stop there. Let's continue the conversation in the comment section if you guys got questions, or wherever I post this on the social medias. And I'll see you on my next Fresh Vinyl review, which at this time, unless I do something else, which is odd because I'm doing 2 videos in a row after like a freaking 3-month hiatus. But next figure review will be Magra, as I've stated over and over again. And that's what I got to say about that. Bam! No, wait, I wasn't supposed to say bam yet. Rewind. Remember, people, buy vinyl, fresh vinyl. Bam!